Hi, attorney Jason T. Brown here, former FBI special agent. I now lead a law firm that handles whistleblower matters in all sorts of areas. Answering the question today, what happens when you report Medicare fraud? What happens when you report Medicare fraud depends first on who you report the fraud to. If you take the route of not using an attorney and directly reporting to the government may or may not look into it depending upon how it's teed up. When the government looks into it, they may or may not view you, the reporter, as somebody who may be implicated in it, which is always a concern if you profited from it, especially. And if the government takes action, if you report it directly to the government, there really isn't a mechanism at all for you to necessarily receive any sort of whistleblower award for your time and efforts in bringing the government's attention to what really is fraud against a taxpayer. On the other hand, if you use a whistleblower attorney, like our firm or a couple other firms in the space that have a track record in this area, the government can hear the case through a mechanism known as the False Claims Act. The False Claims Act is a statute that allows individuals who blow the whistle on systemic fraud against the government, Medicare fraud being one of those categories, to tee it up secretly under seal, allow the government to investigate the claims, and then if the case is successful, you may be entitled to a whistleblower award up to 30% of what the government recovers. So if you use a mechanism like the False Claims Act, you have to use an attorney. You can't do it something called pro se without an attorney, just because the government is worried about a lot of bad law being created. And the False Claims Act is actually, you're bringing a case on behalf of the government through you. So you're known as a relator/plaintiff. And since you're bringing a case on behalf of the government, almost under the corporate theories of law where a corporation can't represent itself and requires an attorney, the government requires an attorney as well. So after the government's on notice of the Medicare fraud, either through yourself or through your whistleblower law firm, the government may or may not investigate the claims. If it's gone through the False Claims Act process, it has to pretty much investigate the claims to make a determination about whether to join in and intervene in the case and or ask for dismissal of the case. If it's done privately, they may or may not investigate it as well. But my perspective on the matter is, even if you don't file it with an attorney, you should probably enjoy a free confidential consultation with a law firm that focuses its practice on it so you can understand your rights. If you blow the whistle the right way on Medicare fraud, you might as well try to enjoy an upside since you're going through it, rather than just be a participant in the investigation with maybe potentially downsides as well. Thank you for the question.